Welcome to Guns, Gear, and Guns with Gary Gunderson. I am Gary Gunderson. So I have a Mauser here that a friend of mine purchased at the Show of Shows. Most of the markings are fairly faded, and it really only came with a little bit of information from the owner. And I thought it would serve as a good example of tracking down information on firearms which you see or even purchase without knowing too much about it. One way to get information, of course, is to ask for help online. There's a wealth of knowledge in forums and Facebook groups if you take the time to join. I like to treat that as a last resort, though. When I picked this up and was examining it, the first thing I noticed when the light hit it right was this faint banner stamping. You can see it better here than I could at the show itself. This let me know that it's either a banner Mauser or a Chinese Mauser. That's not really something I can quantify as advice, but something I've learned generally over time. But if you see any markings, you can usually find out more information by searching online. But the less you can see, of course, the harder that will be to describe and find. The owner wasn't there when we were first looking at it, but when he came back, he did confirm that it was a Chinese Mauser, and then he gave some incorrect information, saying that, oh yeah, these were made on German equipment that was sold to China, and all of them have the same serial number. Now, the first part is true. The serial number bit is not. I was fairly certain of that at the time, but did not know for sure off the top of my head. And at that point, there's not a point in correcting them anyways. It was also obvious looking at the serial numbers that the parts didn't match. The bolt was not native to this receiver, and the safety flag was certainly not original to the bolt either. Getting it into better light, you can make out more of the markings. Some little good luck swastikas, not the Nazi ones. If you're unaware, the swastika predates the Nazis and was a symbol for good luck for Buddhists, Hindus, and others, which leads to some misunderstandings from people only familiar with their roots in the Second World War. Looking on the receiver ring, it looks like a gear above the banner portion. I compared it to a K98 I had, and it was relatively similar overall. And the only major difference I noticed was that the follower did not hold open on the last round. I began looking up the rifles online without any real luck because none of them had bent bolts, but the stock was clearly meant for a bent bolt, which means that not only was the bolt mismatched, it was the wrong style of bolt, and that also meant that the stock was the wrong style as well. So the Chinese part of this Chinese Mauser is likely just the receiver and barrel. It wasn't until this point that I recalled that I owned a copy of Arming the Dragon, which was released by Headstamp Publishing in conjunction with the Pistols of the Warlords book, which I have a review on the channel. I received it shortly before I moved and then kind of just forgot about it after unpacking it and putting it on the shelf. It was here the mystery was quickly solved with much better and more detailed information. It's a Chiang Kai-shek rifle made at the Hanyang Arsenal because you can just make out the good luck swastika in the banner area, which makes this a copy of the German standard model Mauser and was manufactured in 1945. Looking at the rest of the rifle closely, there are certainly some rust spots, a very floppy rear leaf sight, a magazine well that's a bit too proud of the stock, though that could have also been just it wasn't tightened up enough, and a somewhat sloppy trigger. So a few things to learn from this experience. One, just because someone owns a firearm does not mean they know much about it, so when you are buying something from someone, take whatever they say with a grain of salt, because they may be completely wrong. Two, having a good, reliable reference book can make figuring out any mysteries simple. And three, even without the book, you should be able to get plenty of information on your firearm online as long as you have a basic knowledge of firearms and know where to look or what to look for. It's an interesting rifle that obviously has a varied history, and it's impossible to tell when these changes were made, but it's going to clean up and be a good, fun shooter. That's all I have for today. What experiences do you have finding mystery firearms that require some research? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share. You can also support my videos by joining my Patreon, link in the description. Thanks for watching.